All right, I wasn't worried about giving the early slot to our next guest because he is used to responding to a crisis in the middle of the night. I also wasn't worried about him finding us out here on the golf course because he's ex-military, ex-police. He's an ex-Scotland Yard negotiator. He is the author of 2 Sunday Times bestsellers. He is also a former United Nations advisor. Scott Walker, it's lovely to have you with us.
Good morning.
Author of both The Eye of the Storm, How to Make Good Decisions in Bad Situations, and Order Out of Chaos, a kidnap negotiator's guide to influence and persuasion. And he's speaking at the Emirates Airline Festival of Literature tomorrow morning. Tell me though, because now you advise a lot of businesses, a lot of companies, which is why we have you on the business breakfast. Why go from negotiating high-stakes kidnap-for-ransom situations for 20 years to talk to a bunch of guys in suits and ties?
Well, actually, it's a really good question, but most of my time was actually spent dealing with my own side. You know, the client, the company, the family, where actually the egos, the internal politics, the competing demands took up actually most of my time, and the kidnappers were relatively straightforward to deal with. They were just businessmen looking for a good deal. But over the years I noticed all the similarities between the kidnap cases and everyday business and life.
Well, I would argue that in everyday business now we are seeing an awful lot more kidnap for ransom, but now we're talking data, aren't we? As everything moves more and more online, as there's more vulnerabilities, the huge Finland therapy case, for examples. Do we need more hostage negotiators in corporate life?
We need people who can have better conversations, for sure. And it's all about just building that trust with the person we want to negotiate with. And above all, it's just remembering, actually, a negotiation is a conversation with a purpose, where you're looking to bring about influence and persuasion and cooperation and collaboration, and that's it.
If you are talking to someone who does cooperation and collaboration, the other reason we wanted you on is because of the remarkable scenes that we have seen over the last week, with the US president deciding that he psychologically needed Greenland and kind of operating outside the normal playbook for a US head of state in the modern world. How do you negotiate with a big personality? What advice would you have given to the NATO countries in this situation?
I think the first step is to realise that to influence and persuade anybody, it's not about money or any other kind of tangible things. It's about status and about identity. And actually, if you can work out what somebody's identity and status is, how they see themselves in the world, it's going to be far easier to persuade them. For example, do they need to save face? Is it about power and control, for example? And by knowing that, you can actually get your ideas to seem like their ideas and then get by in that way.
Even with a very big personality?
Even with a very big personality, you have to take the risk, calculated risk, and the initiative, and actually understand, well, can we walk away from this? And if we can't, how can we seek some kind of cooperation and collaboration where both sides can walk away feeling as if they've got something from the deal? Because no one likes to leave money on the table, literally or metaphorically.
Or minerals under the earth, as it
Or
may
minerals
be.
under the earth.
Robbie and I have been talking this morning about how we are seeing maybe less civility in some of these disagreements. We're looking at Elon Musk and Ryanair. We're looking at people sort of fighting it out with language that we can't even use on radio, but doing so on Twitter, or doing so now on X. Have the rules of negotiation and how you go about trying to persuade and gain advantage changed with that?
If you want to get ahead in negotiation now, the thing that's going to stand out, if you can demonstrate empathy, i.e. demonstrate your understanding or reflect your understanding of where the other person is coming from, i.e. seek first to understand before being understood, that is going to lower any potential room for conflict, and that person feels heard and understood, and then you've earned the right to actually then put forward your own arguments. So by just taking a little extra time to listen and reflect back your understanding of where they're coming from, you're going to give yourself more opportunity to succeed.
I would argue that some of the people we're seeing in the arena at the moment, I give you Mr. Elon Musk for the dispute that I mentioned earlier, doesn't appear to be stopping and spending a lot of time to reflect on somebody else's life choices and to understand where they are coming from. What skills are you teaching people today about staying calm in the face of uncertainty and unreasonableness as that business environment shifts at the moment?
The number one skill of the world's best negotiators, it doesn't matter if it's with kidnappers, kids or in business, it's emotional self-regulation. And even a really basic simple tip that I use in every single case I was involved in was to put my feet flat on the floor, bring my attention to the soles of my feet, take a couple of deep breaths and almost stay on the riverbank, so to speak, metaphorically. Almost take a little slight step back, and that just buys you 1 second. So you can actually respond proactively with intention rather than react emotively in some kind of knee-jerk reaction and then say something you may later regret.
So before we let you go, you are speaking at the Lit Fest tomorrow morning. You've got 2 books out there at the moment, one about making good decisions in bad situations, one about influence and persuasion. If you were to write a third right now, if you were to pitch one to your publisher, what would you be looking to tackle that you think we need to know?
Wow, what a great question. Yeah, I'm actually working on a novel, funnily enough, but from a business perspective...
With a hostage negotiator as a chief protagonist?
The hero is a kidnapped negotiator who saves the world, but comes along challenges on the way.
Obviously. And
obviously, yeah, hopefully the Netflix series will come very soon after that.
But if you were writing a non-fiction, what do you need to tackle now?
I think the thing that's really missing at the moment in the world is everyone is shouting and no one's listening. So I think, how can we listen more, build trust in that cooperation, and I think that would actually serve people in business as well as in life really, really well.
Thank you for joining me this morning. Former hostage negotiator Scott Walker speaking to me this morning on the Business Breakfast.